Now, honestly, it's really hard to believe that just only a few years ago, about maybe 6 to 7 years ago, that really big. And I miss those days, though. I remember those days of like your childhood shows and games are not what they seem, you know? And now that I'm older and know what these stories were all about and reading the original stories, I kind of just realized, like, man, these were all, not all of them, but majority of them were not very well written. But for the time, the majesty was pretty much there. And back in the day, I really watched them a lot, like a lot. I was actually kind of mesmerized about how people were going to take one of my favorite, mediums and turn it into some kind of creepy thing. And for a while, I kind of believed that shit, like the Lavender Town Syndrome stuff. I believed that stuff because I just somehow figured that, I mean, to be fair, I did listen to the Lavender Town song from the original game. It did sound like at a higher pitch, and it does give me a headache, but it wasn't a theory where it led children to like mass suicides and stuff like that. It just wasn't that. But yeah, like I remember those days. It was just really crazy just seeing all these projects and seeing people play these creepypasta games and stories pop around everywhere. I was really caught off guard and enjoyed all of it. Like, as for me knowing about this stuff, I think I just saw it scrolling around on YouTube. Me and my brother would often just like, scroll around YouTube, do shit. It was a time where we just didn't have anything else to do other than just be online. And we just scroll around YouTube and just look up random shit. And then one day we just see something about Sonic.exe because my brother used to watch a lot of Sonic stuff. And then he came across Sonic.exe. And then we started watching. My brother didn't like it because he was creeped out by that stuff. But I was actually kind of surprised about this stuff. Like, wow, I've never seen this before. Honestly, that's like the first time in my life I ever seen like, someone took like this innocent game for, children or some innocent medium for children and boom, turned the creep up to 11. Now, it wasn't something that I wasn't exactly like unknown to, but like I never seen this stuff like done so many times. And that's when I learned about what creepypastas were. These internet horror urban legend stories that basically just creates this like creepy atmosphere and creepy story and spread around the internet like a copy pasta. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And I kind of deep dived into this stuff. It was kind of hard for me because, me and my brother lived in the same room and he hated that shit. And I like, okay, fine, F it. I don't have to look it up myself. Screw you then. But yeah, I even did some stuff like that on my channel. It's like, ugh, it was crazy. And I think the very first one I did see was Sonic.exe. It was like, you play Tails, you run to the right, and then you encounter a creepy Sonic, and creepy things happen, and Sonic slowly kills characters one by one. Funny enough, I think a lot of people saw this stuff through Markiplier, because his video is like I think the highest Sonic.exe related thing on the internet, but I can't be sure. I think it's 9. It's like, I think like the highest one's like some kind of music video, but I think a lot of people have seen that stuff through like big YouTubers playing these creepy games. That's how a lot of people see stuff. I never saw it through Markiplier or anyone like that. I never really watched Markiplier. I saw it through like some ordinary gamers. I saw other creepypastas through Jay Witz, Brandon to the Past. Those I saw most of the Pokemon stuff through like Pokemon YouTubers. Who was else? Another one, Proto Mario. I used to see like the creepypastas mostly through this, mostly Pokemon, because that's what's caught my attention the most. Because I'm a big Pokemon fan. But yeah, stuff like Sonic.exe was actually pretty magical back in the day. Back before I read the original story. I remember back in the days where I just like could get creeped out by these creepypastas and not know their source material, because once I know the source material, it kind of just ruins it if the source material isn't very good. But I'll talk more about that later. The Pokemon ones I really want to talk about is like the Lavender Town Syndrome, where hearing the original Lavender Town theme from Pokemon Green will make children go insane because of the frequency and make them kill themselves. But that's not that. But though I did really believe in that story though. Like there was like this whole spectrogram shit where they show like the freaking the sound format, the sound waves and shit like that. And it was actually a bunch of unknowns and creepy messages saying, like a bunch of ghosts from Pokemon. Like I thought that was like cool, knowing I know it was fake, but a part of me believed it was real. There was also the Gary's Radicate, and I don't know if I can call this a creepypasta or a fanfic, but some creepypastas just technically, if you want to be technical about it, some creepypastas that are made from like popular media are fan fiction. So I'm just gonna count as a creepypasta because I'm already making the video. And Gary's Raticate basically like, okay, Gary had a Rattata and he had a Raticate, and the last time you fight him with that Raticate is on the SS Anne. And after you leave the SS Anne, when you go over to Lavender Town, Gary is already, or Blue, Gary/Blue is already in the Lavender Town Pokemon's tower. And apparently his Raticate is dead. That's what the story people go with. And, you know, he's also in the cemetery. He's also, you know, already in there. He has no Pokemon there. And he doesn't have a Raticate no more. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's actually kind of a cool way. I like when those creepypastas actually used like like a missing gap in between certain things to fill in with some creepy. I like that. And I like the Gary's Raticate one, even if it doesn't seem like it could actually happen. I kind of like it for the idea of that, like, yeah, it could possibly be right, you know? What's another one? Oh yeah, Ash's coma theory. Basically, Ash has been in a coma this entire time, and all his Pokemon journey and him not being able to grow up is part of his coma delusions, his mind slowly breaking down while he's unable to wake up, stuff like that. Honestly, the coma theory actually creeped me out more than anything, because like, it was one of that thing where I just thought about stuff, you know, like, what if every cartoon and show I've ever watched was actually just some creepy coma theory shit? But then I saw how overplayed it was in Lost Episode creepypastas, and I was like, okay, this is annoying now. It got old for me real fast because I just realized how much it was reused again and again. Oh, what's next? Oh yeah, there's Lost Silver. And I think Lost Silver might be my favorite creepypasta just because of the original game. Now, I never played I never read the original creepypasta. I never read that, but I did see the game that people made off of it, and I thought that was really interesting, the way they used the they hacked Gen 2 Pokemon in order to create this narrative for it, and I kind of liked it. I never read the original story, but I did like the game they made out of it. I think that the game was actually really well made, you know, even if you can't play it, it was actually really well made. I think you can play it. Yeah, you can play it. It's for other people. I never got a chance to play it myself, but I know you can play it. But I like the idea that people made a game out of it, and actually like a good one. Not like Sonic. I think you can say Sonic Galaxy wasn't good, but it's not really much of a game when you're just pressing one direction to avoid Sonic. I don't know. Anyway. Another game creepypasta I liked was Binge Round, and while I never was invested much in the Binge Round because I'm not into Zelda like that, I thoroughly did enjoy Binge Round, especially with the video footage they provided for, because it did make it seem like the game was going haywire and acting creepy and shit. I like it when they have video footage for the stuff that you can feasibly believe, you know? Like, now granted, Lost Silver is like way off the spectrum of believable, but I feel like Binge Round is like in that perfect area. It's like, you can believe it because it actually, you know, works in its benefit to act like the game it is, you know? Like, it acts right. It's hard to describe. I think the way I'm trying to say it is that, like, Binge Round being in its game form and using the effects of the game to its advantage is a great way of telling its narrative without going off the tracks and acting like, you know, some whacked out version of itself, you know, like again, like how Lost Silver does it. Lost Silver isn't, you know, you definitely couldn't believe this could happen, but like with Binge Round, the way they use the footage, you could actually feel like it could work. Moving away from that, we also have another creepypasta in the form of Jeff the Killer. Again, I wasn't into Jeff the Killer. Like, they're like the creepypasta about like monsters or other people turn, you know, insane. I never really was into that. I was more into the whole video game and some Lost Episode creepypasta stuff. Like stuff like Jeff the Killer and Slender Man and Zalgo and Smile Dog. That wasn't really my thing. And Laughing Jack. Those weren't really my thing, you know? Like, I wasn't really into those because I was like, I mean, they're creepy, yeah, I get it, but like, they weren't really into my thing. They were my thing. I wasn't really interested in those, but people loved Jeff the Killer, even though the original story is garbage. There was also another Mario creepypasta called I Hate You. I don't remember much of it, but I do remember the ending screen that looked creepy and like Luigi was like, flesh was boiling off, and I was like, oh god, and Mario looked at the screen with a hateful expression on his face. I was like, god damn, the ending screen creeped me out more than the actual game. And plus, people actually had screenshots of that stuff on a website. They actually had screenshots to show off what the game, you know, potentially could have looked like if you were able to play it. And I kind of like that, you know? Like, I was like, I like when they do this extra shit for no reason, you know? Like, when they actually make something, when they like a creepypasta or a story so much they make their own work off of it, I like that. That just shows how much you like something. There's another creepypasta that was out there called Clockwork Your Time Is Up. Clockwork Your Time Is Up is like a worse Jeff the Killer. Like, it's about this girl who's being sexually assaulted on at home, right? And she starts to become obsessed with time. People are bringing up the concept of time, and she eventually goes so crazy, she just cuts out her own eye and jams a clock in there. Okay, it's hard to describe without talking about the actual story, and I don't want to spend this whole video talking about that story. But the point is, the story is not good. Like, not good. It's like using the concept of rape as a shock value, and like doesn't execute it well, right? And the whole concept of the character turning to this green-eyed, like literally the character glows green eyes after they inject her with some kind of medical agent or some shit. It's been a while since I read the actual story, but I remember this shit. And like she jams a clock in her eye and kills all her family members. And like, well, why? And she also gains like super speed and super strength and all that shit. I'm like, oh, like that's the kind of shit I hate when creepypasta, when they just go anime bullshit mode. Look, I'm all for anime bullshit, but not when you're trying to have a story you want me to take seriously. That's what I hate, when they get the creepypasta characters and make them go anime bullshit mode. I hate that. I love anime and I love my bullshit, but I hate it when people like try to do that in an unrealistic light. You know what I mean? Like, Grant, this is a creepypasta, you know, make the girl go, like, I don't know, you could have put some paralyzing agent in her and made her grow extra limbs and shit. Or turn into a monster, like, she slowly progresses to, like, a monster because, like, she's growing, like, extra limbs and monstrous qualities. I would have liked that more than have her turn into some green-eyed, clock-eyed, super powerful anime bullshit who's able to beat up full-grown adults and kill her entire family and burn a house down. No. Oh god, what was else? There was another one. Oh yeah, there was Herobrine, who was like really. This was like way before I played Minecraft. Minecraft was really big. I never got a chance to play because I never owned it like back in the day. But Herobrine was actually kind of cool. Like it was like this creepy version of Steve from Minecraft, and people kind of said like, oh yeah, Herobrine is actually maybe it's the spirit of Notch's brother. Honestly, speaking of this creepypasta stuff, before I continue. There was also another YouTube channel that actually kind of catapulted this stuff into just in my memory forever. There's this YouTube channel called Tat's Top 10s. I loved that YouTube channel back in the day. They actually made these creepypastas seem creepy. They clearly put a lot of effort and work into their videos, and I watched pretty much almost all their videos, even to this day, because they clearly put a lot of effort and shit into their videos, especially the creepypasta ones. They actually legit, with the voice acting and the effects and, you know, the little stories, even the worst creepypastas that you know are terrible, they made good because of how good they made the videos. They pretty much made this shit for me outside of, you know, some like people like some ordinary gamers and, you know, the people I mentioned earlier. But Tat's Top 10s, love that channel, really do. All right, who's next? Oh yeah, anyway, back to Herobrine. Yeah, they thought the spirit of Notch's brother, the creator of Minecraft, was like, you know, going around as Herobrine in the game world, which I never really was afraid of Herobrine because I never was really attached to Minecraft. And it's Steve from Minecraft. I'm supposed to be creeped out of that. But I do like how the Minecraft development team actually put like in their development reports, like when they do a patch, it's like, oh, we removed Herobrine from the developer stuff. And I like that shit. It's like, you know, they notice it and they actually put it in their notes. I like that when you know, people acknowledge that shit. There's also Polybius, which was actually this arcade game, like, you know, a bunch of like flashing lights and shit. And it was apparently put there by the government. The government is supposed to, like, you know, like it's like a mind control kind of thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I never really found that creepy, but I do like the concept of, like, you know, people like arcade machines like controlling people. You know, that'd be kind of crazy if they did that kind of thing, and like it sucks more money out of people, like quarters and shit. I kind of like that. That if that was a concept, that'd be kind of funny. Let's see what else. There was also some My Little Pony Friendship is Magic creepypastas like Cupcakes. And the only reason I discovered Cupcakes was because of the original animation uploaded on YouTube. And I liked that animation. It was like a little bit too much for me because it was like unnecessarily cruel and shit. You know, Rainbow Dash is being tortured by Pinkie Pie, and like it was a little bit much. And I think even to this day, it's still a bit much. And like the funny thing about it is like it's being animated like really well. It looks like it could actually work in MLP. On top of that, like the song "Ready to Die," I think was it was, I know it's an Andrew WK song. I can't remember the name to it, but I think the song's called "Ready to Die," done by Andrew WK. And like even with the cheerful music, 'cause Andrew WK does a lot of cheerful music, sound cheerful at least. Even so, it's like oh wow, like she's getting tortured, getting her wings pulled out and her guts and entrails thrown out, and like I don't know why. It stuck with me because like it just. There's also another one called Luna Game. Luna Game is basically kind of like the Side.exe of MLP. It's basically you play as Princess Luna from the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic series, and you make her run to the right until like creepy images pop up in your folders, in your computer files and shit like that. Honestly, I didn't like those kind of games. Some of those games, because like, you know, when they stop popping up in your shit, and then like you're the kind of like, open like Task Manager and a bunch of other shit just to get rid of the pictures. Like it was just like it was. I appreciate the effort, but it got annoying like really fast. Okay, yeah, another creepypasta I forgot to mention when I was talking about the Pokemon section was Buried Alive. And I kind of like Buried Alive because I don't know why. The idea of like this dude you're battling just rises up from the ground and eats you. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just found that kind of crazy. Though I did, I think the image is what got me. Like the final image after you battle Buried Alive and he grabs up and consumes you or just eats you or whatever he does to you. Like I always thought that like image was just like kind of creepy. I was like, oh god, I didn't want to see this. There was another one I seen called I don't know if I want to like mix Pink Amina with Smile, but I think Pink Amina, I'm just gonna throw that one in there. So Pink Amina is another MLP creepypasta. I don't remember exactly what this one was, but I remember everyone, turning Pinkie Pie creepy. Like her real name is Pink Amina Diane Pie, and there was like this episode in MLP where she became severely depressed, and then her hair drooped, and she became long hair, and everybody kind of took that and turned her into some kind of crazy murderer. And I don't know why. I've always found it funny that they just turned Pinkie Pie into like a demented killer, because he's like, like, I don't know why. I've always found that funny, but it happened. That was a thing, and I just miss these. Creepypasta was crazy. There's also some lost episode creepypastas I want to talk about. I ain't gonna talk about all of them because there's like a ton of them, but there's like a couple that stuck with me. There was Candle Cove. And Candle Cove was like played up as this old program that appeared on some obscure channel about, I think it was like a psychological thing, like a psychological horror, like some puppets and shit trying to creep out children. Like they were doing like creepy shit with the puppets and the kids. And I can't remember much of Candle Cove outside of the concept and the name. There was also Suicide Mouse.avi, which was pretty much the Side.exe of cartoons, if that makes sense. Mickey Mouse is depressed, and then as he walks slowly to one side, there was like this screaming that happens in the background that progressively gets louder and louder and louder until like it's just screeching in your ear and shit like that. And then if I remember correctly, after a while, Mickey, the whole scenery around him becomes like on fire and shit, and it becomes darker and whatnot, and then Mickey just straight up just dies. I don't know. I don't know why it's called Suicide Mouse.avi. I think he stuck himself with a needle or something. I can't remember because it's been so a while, but I remember the image in my head that he just, walked for a little bit, everything got creepier, everything got louder, and then he died. There was also Dead Bart, which I didn't pay too much attention to. I never really got into those Simpson creepypastas, but all I remember is like a singular image from Dead Bart, and I was like, oh, okay, that's like the only thing I remember. I just remember seeing the actual video people uploaded on YouTube about the Simpson family mourning Bart's death, but I never really actually paid close attention to it. I never got into it. I was like, okay, it's like whatever. There's also Squidward Suicide, aka Red Mist. Red Mist was, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like, yeah, Squidward Suicide. Again, it's like one of those creepypastas where I remember just a singular image. Though I do remember people uploading a video about it, like a video about the actual events in the story. Again, I like that shit. I like a visual medium. And funny enough, there was actually an episode of SpongeBob that actually referenced Red Mist, which you can believe it or not. It's actually, they actually put obviously they got rid of the blood and the darker aspects of the thing, but the fact that they actually made a reference to Red Mist is actually pretty crazy. I like it when official people make a reference to a fan-made work of theirs. I like that. That shit gets me happy every time. But yeah, that's all I really gotta say about creepypastas, really. Honestly, I did a lot on my channel a while back. I did remember me and my brother did a drinking game about Side.exe, and we copied Michael Leroy, who did a creepypasta series known as Bad Creepypasta, and also used to keep up with those until I just stopped watching the channel. But It was actually pretty fun. I missed those days. And like we did a drinking game on this really hard ass soda, and we had a whole case of it, like a 12-pack, and we would have to take a sip every time the dude in the story, JC the Hyena. I'm gonna get to talk about him in a minute, but JC the Hyena, he wrote Sonic.exe, and we would have to take a sip every time JC the Hyena mentioned bread, blood, guts, murder, screech, or seconds, because those are a lot. Those are words that appear a lot in the creepypasta. And that case was gone. We drank out the whole case and we felt so sick afterwards. I was like, oh my god, this story was awful. I almost died. It's on my YouTube channel, but I doubt anybody would want to watch it. It's like, it's old, it's me. It's mostly me. Most of my old creepypasta stuff is me reading off my phone. Like, that was back then when I didn't have like a good, any decent equipment, and I kind of still don't, but it's better than me just reading off my phone like that. What else? Oh yeah, I still want to talk about Sonic.exe stuff. I forgot to mention this. So the creator of Sonic.exe, JC Hyena, wrote like several stories about Sonic.exe. He wrote a part 2 to the original story, which was actually like really bad, and a severely long. And then after that, the creepypasta people on the site, they thought the original Sonic.exe story was so bad now, they took it off the main wiki and put it on a trollpasta wiki, where essentially bad creepypastas go to die. And I thought that was really funny because JC Hyena lost his shit. He lost his shit and he became like so up his own ass that he was so mad at the admins that he went on this anime bullshit ass speech about, oh, you guys, like, you go make fan art, you can do it. Like, he was trying to like he was like starting a goddamn cult or some shit. Like, I can't post it up here because this ain't this kind of video, but I definitely want to read about it someday. I want to make a video about Sonic.exe someday, but that's like far in the future. But yeah, I think that's it, everyone. That's all I wanted to talk about, my little memories of creepypasta, because that's actually pretty fun. You know, like those times you just can't get back when people just took your happy childhood bullshit and just turned it on its head. And you know, granted that shit doesn't work on me now, but when it did, it did. So without further ado, I'll see y'all next time. I hope you all have a great day. Peace out, everyone.